Welcome to the Constant Struggle. I'm Nick Watson.
I'm Brie Watson. This is episode 43 of The Constant Struggle, and it features...
Jason Liu, local comic book writer.
Oh! We thought we were going one way, but we went another way.
Yeah.
Jason's worked on some super cool comics, most notably his own.
The Pitiful Human-Lizard,
And...
which is a Toronto-based superhero.
Yeah, and we'll ask him a bunch of questions about what it's like being a comic book writer and artist.
In the Toronto.
Yeah.
And some Captain Canuck stuff, too.
Ooh.
Huge dude in the Canadian world of comics.
Get to strap on your superhero horns. Here we go. It says on your menu.
Northern Belle.
All right.
Yeah, we'll give them a couple of shout outs.
Yeah. Oh, are we?
All right,
We're doing this?
Yeah,
Is this thing
we're
on?
going. Yeah.
Welcome to the Constant Struggle. I'm just doing that to make me feel like I'm going into my podcast like normal. We're at the Northern Belle today, Brie and I. Say hi, Brie.
Hi. I'm
And-
here.
Yep, Brie's here. And tonight we're talking to Jason. Today?
This
evening,
afternoon.
This afternoon.
We're talking to Jason
Whenever
Liu.
you're listening to it, we're listening to Jason Liu.
I mean, normally we tell people when in the day to listen to it so they don't get weirded out by the time difference, but I guess you can listen to it whenever this time, guys.
Whatever. We're going to be drinking this water. If not, I'll just move it right out of the way. Or can I pour you some water?
No, I'm good. I got my.
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
we have
got beer. That's more important.
at the Northern Belle pub.
That's right.
And is this location Trinity Bellwoods? Are we still in that vicinity?
It's right near
Yeah.
Trinity Bellwoods.
Which is in Hamilton? No, Toronto. We're still in Toronto, right?
Dennis Street on Toronto.
Yeah, that's really cool. Nick, why don't you
Get us.
get us started? Yeah.
Well, I'm all over the place with my questions, but Jason, you're primarily working on your own comic book
Yes.
set here in Toronto.
Yes.
That's so
And-
cool.
Yep. And he is called the Pitiful Human-Lizard.
Ooh.
And
So wait, maybe we should start right off the get-go. Like, Jason, you make comic books.
Yeah, I write and draw, letter, color,
are you inking?
inking, janitor, duties, mail clerk, all over that series. Yeah.
Cool. For your comic. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah. For Chapterhouse Comics.
Great.
Yeah.
But
Home of Captain Canuck.
Oh, great.
Yay! But Jay, you started off the book before moving over to Chapterhouse. Like you were your own publisher for a bit too, right?
Yeah, I was. It started out as a Kickstarter,
Oh, cool.
and then I released about 5 issues before. Actually, in between, I met Fadi Hakim, who's the CEO of Chapterhouse, and also
The diner that
co-owner
we're
of,
gonna.
of Lakeview. Yeah, and he was doing stuff with Captain Canuck, and I was doing stuff with Pitiful Human-Lizard, and there were articles, news articles that were noticing this Canadian superhero
Resurgence?
renaissance.
Yeah.
Ah.
And my superhero and Captain Canuck would share
The same universe.
Same. That would be in the same articles.
Oh, right.
To the point
Okay.
where Fatty was we saw each other at a industry night party, and he was like, "You're Jason of Pitiful Human-Lizard." I was like, "Yeah, you're Fatty of Captain Canuck," and he was like, "I've been meaning to get a hold of you." He was like, "Fatty, I've been meaning to get a hold of you."
Awesome.
Because we both shared an interest in having this shared Canadian superhero universe. Kind of like what Marvel's doing, but Canadian.
Yeah, awesome.
Don't let
Yeah.
anybody tell you networking isn't important, right?
No, exactly. So I had to make sure I had 5 issues in the pocket before they can continue on with the series through Chapterhouse. So
Okay.
yeah. So once it
Once you
got
hit
taken over, they reprinted issues 1 to 5. And then they take care of the distribution and promotions and production.
Oh yeah, because
while
you would have had to do that for yourself.
I did
when
that
it was-
all
That's what you were doing before, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's
And-
so cool.
and like I was distributing, like when I was doing it on my own, like I would make trips to all the comic book stores around. But now, like they have their own distributor that distributes comics to like all the shops around the world.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about that element of it anymore. So how were you doing when you were just doing it yourself? Well, actually, I want to go even way back. I don't know how you got into like creating comics in the first place. Were you just like a big fan of comics when you were growing up?
Definitely. Like when I was like 5, you know, like when my parents and I would go to the convenience store and I'd beg my parents for like a comic book, whether it was Batman or it was like I had like New Mutants, like for like a 7-year-old, which is weird.
Isn't that where like the first like Alpha Flight showed up first or something? Like the Canadian superheroes and
I didn't really know Alpha Flight like back when I grew up until like maybe when I was like 9 or something. But,
okay, cool. But at first it was just like
awesome
New
Mutants,
books.
yeah, awesome comic books, and then I would just make my own comic books, like drawings, staple them together into a booklet, and then it evolved to like like now I know how to use a photocopier and make my own zines in high schools and.
Oh, dude!
So you were always a good artist too.
Well, you know, I don't think I was like good at the time, but I practiced it.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to tell stories through my art.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That you like that's something that you realized at a young age too. That you were like, okay.
And you kept
work
with it,
on
like
this.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I didn't want to just be an artist and just draw stuff. Like I wanted to like draw things in the context of the story, and so I studied illustrations in Sheridan College, and like learning how to storyboard and stuff like that.
Yep.
Did some internship with RAID. RAID is the acronym for Royal Academy of Illustration Design.
RAID.
That
sounds so terrifying.
At the time, like
It's just like a crack team of artists that show up.
well, like Chip Zdarsky was a member.
That name's familiar.
Chip Zdarsky now, he's an award winner, like co-creator of Sex Criminals for Image Comics, and he's now writing for Spider-Man.
Oh, cool.
And tons of other Marvel stuff. Well, he's also writing for like Thing right now and Human Torch.
Nice.
And Kagan McLeod was also a member of RAID, and Cameron Stewart as well.
I just think it makes sense that the acronym for this like company of people who look over like comic books
It's
sounds
got an
like
evil
such a
villain name.
Sort of, yeah. It still continues. They with new, they have like new members now.
Right.
And yeah, they're based out in on College Street.
Cool.
It's not that far from here.
Nice.
So yeah, I learned a lot from them. And
So there's a lot going on. It sounds like there's a lot going on in Toronto right
Toronto
now.
is booming. Like I didn't realize until I went where I met you at the Mississauga Comic Con. Shout out to that.
I think you don't have to say separately shout out to something because like just by saying it.
It was the shout out.
Yeah.
but
Okay.
thanks, because I did coordinate that.
There you go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That was. I've heard about it, but I kept missing it beforehand, and that was the first time I got to go. And I go to Image Collections in Mississauga,
Right.
and Todd's always trying to tell me to go for it. And
Yeah.
Todd runs. Shout out to Todd. I just did that to pick you
Shout
up.
out.
So yeah, I went along and I was like, oh, I should tell people that we have a podcast and we could get comics folks on this. And yeah, so that worked out awesome because I just got into Pitiful Human-Lizard a couple months before that.
Oh,
I was
awesome.
like, this is gonna be cool.
Through Todd, through Image Collections.
Yeah, because he
Okay.
had a little section for Canadian local talent.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I might as well do that, like support the local guys and stuff.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
Todd.
and it was your book was really fun and awesome and
thanks.
super local. So the first thing is I was going through the first 5 books, and right at the jump you're going to the ROM, AGO, Rogers Center. It's all like proper Toronto locations.
Yeah. I mean, well, Rogers Center was only maybe 2 pages.
That's enough for me. I love
yeah.
seeing stadiums and comic books.
I mean, there are some touristy parts, but then the Human-Lizard, he's a resident of Parkdale, and so there are other places that tourists of Toronto don't know about, like every location in the comic is an actual spot in Toronto.
Yeah, because I just saw the Lakeview earlier today when I was rereading it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we're going to this place in the comic book. So that was cool.
As
And you can see
featured
the
in issue
milkshake
5.
places on the outside.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's so cool.
So cool. I wasn't sure if you're totally doing everything or like if you just do generic buildings every once in a while.
That was one of the challenges that I was I wanted to make clear when I was doing the series. I didn't want to just draw generic buildings.
Yeah.
It didn't fit the CN Tower in the background because that's a huge cop out. And like I want the series to be a love letter to Toronto.
Oh yeah, that's
So you gotta
totally
honor it
coming
well.
across. I was gonna say, like with the bigger tourist bits, were you building like the future branding project for the
PHL?
PHL? Were you going for like a reality tour kind of thing to get to in later years? Like people can tour all the locales from the comic book and stuff like that.
Well,
Yeah.
people did that with Scott Pilgrim, didn't they?
Yeah. And I've been told some of my fans that like when I visited Toronto, like they recognize some of the spots that I've highlighted in my comic.
Sneaky D's springs to mind right away.
Yeah.
Like I don't even think you wrote it on there. You just had like the little skull, and I was like, yeah, you're at Sneaky D's.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the only reason you know about Sneaky
It's from Scott Pilgrim.
yeah.
Yeah, I felt the book really, like the early Pilgrim books felt like it could go into superhero territory. It was like he was almost going to go there, but you just went fully like, yeah, he's a superhero.
Mm-hmm.
And he's embracing that and Toronto at the same time.
And yeah, before Human-Lizard, like Scott Pilgrim's like probably like one of the few notable Toronto comic books.
Yeah.
That's totally Toronto, not generic.
Whereas in like Marvel has New York covered with so many titles. Where like I think Toronto needs more. I mean, yeah, I think Toronto needs to be celebrated more in the comics, and it's great to see a series like the Toronto Comics Anthology as well. Like they have like a wide range of stories that highlight the city, and they're on their 4th volume right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've got some questions.
Okay.
So far this podcast has been like hugely filled with like comedians.
Right.
So I was gonna say, can you tell me a little bit, and like the listeners who know maybe not much about comics, what is your comic about?
Oh,
What's my comic about?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about a 9-to-5 office clerk. He masquerades as a superhero, but he's not that great at it. He's not as resourceful as Tony Stark, or not as powerful as Thor or Superman, but he makes do with what limited resources that he has.
It sounds like the quintessential Toronto superhero.
Yeah. And yeah, he's just this humble, like just very modest underdog superhero. Like just a regular guy that's just trying his best to be the superhero that our city needs.
Cool.
And he's not motivated by like the death of his parents, because his parents are still around.
and they're adorable in the comic
yeah.
book too.
And but yeah, it's just for the sake of doing good for the city.
Huh.
Yeah.
What year about did you start, or did you create this character?
Ever since high school.
High school. I was gonna say, I'm trying to see if like we're connecting the dots. I was gonna ask, like, did Rob Ford come on the scene and you were like, oh, we need this superhero comic, or was there something? Was there other stuff going around in the city that you were like?
Well, when I was doing okay, so yeah, like Human-Lizard was a character that I did in high school. He went through different transformations, and in college as well. Like I brought him back, and then I think I did it. I definitely was successful this time around because when I did the Kickstarter, it was for like a double-sized debut issue, a 52-page origin story, and when I was advertising this, like doing the whole Kickstarter campaign, and then like Blog TO and Toronto Star and Globe and Mail started to take notice of it, and then more people were interested, and they were like, okay, so is Rob Ford going to show up? And I got like that question asked frequently.
Oh, I'm sorry to bring
And you're
it
like,
up.
no, I can't spare the panels.
Well, yeah, like I didn't want it to be political, but then it was.
Oh man, yeah.
But then he was just doing a lot of stupid stuff at like near the point where when I was like close to production, the end of production, that I was like, I'm gonna fit this one page with like a spoof of this guy and call him like Rab the Malevolent, and he's
like that's who it is. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a guy that looks like Rob Ford, who is possessed with like this cosmic demon, and has like this Jack Kirby aesthetic to his costume, and he returns again in issue number 2, and then I think I kind of like dismissed him in issue number 5 and saying like that's the end of him, because
I believe Mother Wonder threw him to Buffalo.
Yeah,
at some
exactly.
point, and they kind of like.
Yes.
I mean, that's pretty telling, considering Buffalo is part of a country that now has mega Rob Ford.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Sorry, I did not want to make this political. I just had to ask.
It just went there.
Yeah, if there was like, I don't know, when you come up with a superhero that like
lives in
wants to
Toronto.
preserve the good of Toronto the good, what was it in reaction to something? Because I know that, like, I remember I took a course in college that was about like superheroes kind of in general, and it was the sociological consensus was more comic books and like superheroes come out
During World War II.
During wars and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
During when times are really crappy in
And it was to
society.
help younger people feel empowered and
Yes.
hope and stuff like that. So you get Superman.
Then you'll keep getting another, like, more and more influx, like the worst, like every time there's another war.
Yeah,
Except now they're like,
And then 9/11,
constant,
the guys go out and help the firemen dig people out of the building and
Right.
stuff like that. Yeah. But now it's kind of chill, so
they're just everywhere all the
yeah,
time.
they're just hanging out, riding
to
on top
stay.
of
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good, which is good. I think it's good. It's entertaining. It's fun.
Well, and Canada needs we need our own role models. We can't keep looking to the South for heroes. And superheroes are our modern day mythology right now.
Yeah.
So
Was it difficult at first, like when you're doing it yourself? Were you able to get any funding or anything from the government when you were working on it, or was it just completely self-funded?
it was through Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So
Kickstarter. Okay,
So
great.
so people that wanted to see it happen, they I just charged like a reasonable fee of like the pre-order cost. So if you wanted a copy of this book, I was charging $10 for a 52-page full-color book,
Yeah.
which is not much for an indie run. And it got about like over 200 people. Then
Cool.
I made about 1,000 copies and distribute them myself. And
like, where did you get it made? Just like a print? No, it wouldn't have been
no,
a print shop.
a lot of the great printers are in Montreal. No,
Okay.
Quebec.
Yeah,
Quebec.
right, because they actually do like all the big books like DC and Marvel is done in Quebec.
Exactly. Yeah. Knowing that, I wanted my book to be in the same high quality as like the DC and Marvel books.
Yeah.
So if my book was to go on the shelf, like it would stand out as much as Spider-Man and Batman, and the comic book store owners won't have to like put it in the niche like Xerox mini comic section.
Yeah, it's a proper book.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Like, full color, looks great. Yeah, nice covers too.
Yeah. And then when you read the story, it's like, surprise, it's a good
super
story.
fun.
Yeah.
Like I love how Canadian it is. It's like, American comics are super brash. Every character is ultra confident about themselves and their place in the universe. Whereas your guys seem like they're just doing their job. They're doing it because they love to help people as well. And there's like so much of them just hanging out and talking as well. It's super Toronto, like laid back vibe feeling.
But now that it's part of Chapterhouse, it is part of like a bigger universe with like Captain Canuck and Northgard, where you have those superheroes that take the superhero genre seriously.
How is the loser gonna put up, like, is he gonna just be losing his shit all the time? Like, I can't believe I'm working with Captain Canuck and stuff.
No, they've actually teamed up.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, they've teamed up in the summer special, 2016 issue with Justin Trudeau on the cover, and he even wrote like an introduction letter to that comic too. But yeah, like the Human-Lizard, I co-wrote that with Kelman, who was writing Captain Canuck at the time, and I treated. I wrote the Human-Lizard as if he was like the little brother that's jealous of Captain Canuck.
Nice.
Because like here's this, Human-Lizard who's just working class superhero, is like working his best to try to get some notoriety, and then you have like Captain Canuck, who is part of a corporation that called Equilibrium, who funds his gear and all that. So there is like a lot of tension between those two characters.
I'm looking forward to reading that then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had to have 5. You're saying you had to have 5 issues out before Random House, not Random House, Chapterhouse picked it up. And was that just like they just wanted to make sure you had the story going in the right direction?
Well, I think they wanted to make sure that they can depend on me getting the work done on time, and also just to have like enough material to just turn that into a trade paperback too. But yeah, that's the thing about like, when you're submitting your work to independent publishers, like they want to make sure that you can get the work done.
Yeah.
You can deliver.
Had you done a book before?
I've done like some like independent stuff like on my own, like I did one mini-series, like a teen spy drama thing that was like black and white. I did like a past incarnation of Human-Lizard.
Awesome.
but I was like a 16-page black and white thing that I would only sell at the cafeteria in college or high school. I did some educational stuff for like some educational stuff that was published and distributed through Scholastic.
Nice.
And
also local.
Yeah.
And I did a Canadian G.I. Joe comic.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How does that? Was it called like private?
No, it was called. It was for this Canadian G.I. Joe convention that
awesome.
ran for 3 or 4 years,
cool.
and you would have like a comic as like an exclusive for fans that went
Oh, that
to
makes
that
sense.
those
Cool.
events.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you're with Chapterhouse, is it like, do you have an expectation to deliver a certain amount of new stories every so often, or how does that work?
Yeah. My last contract, I was expected to do 6 issues a year.
Okay.
And then now with all the other titles that just got added into our universe, like we're making it consistent with like 4 issues a year.
Okay.
And they work as seasons, kind of like a TV
nice.
show.
Cool.
And they're like all the series are connected, but you don't have to like buy all the books to like appreciate like one title.
So they make sense like on their own as a standalone as well.
But it's not like a
Exactly.
full-on crossover where you have to like, let's see what happens to the Human-Lizard in Captain Canuck number 75.
No, I mean, like there will be some crossovers of.
Yeah,
of,
but it's not exclusively that. Wow, I
Yeah.
just got excited there. I have feelings about crossovers sometimes. Like, no, I do not want to buy Dick Grayson's book right now. Sorry.
Like Captain Canuck. In a current Captain Canuck season, there's this alien invasion happening in Yonge and Dundas Square, and of course you'll find a Human-Lizard somewhere in the background
Trying to
doing
help
this whole
out
thing.
and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, with like people just panicking in the
Oh, they
streets.
would.
Yeah.
Young and Dundas for sure.
Yeah.
They'd be panicking.
You know who'd love that? All the religious people down in Yonge and Dundas. Going, see, I told ya.
You didn't read my sign.
The end is nigh. It's right here, guys. This is the nigh. So Chapterhouse is, it feels like it's, as an entity, it's getting bigger. Like,
Totally.
more investment. Is that maybe somebody's come on board recently to help things out a bit?
Yeah, it was like May when it was announced that Jay Baruchel has become our chief creative officer.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, he actually came on like one of our like writers summit meetings last year around this time, like November or something. And like that was probably the first time I actually got to like meet him in person, like with like all the other writers as we were planning as we were sharing ideas for our 2017 stories, because he was scheduled to do like this. He was scheduled to do the origin story of Captain Canuck for Free Comic Book Day that came out in May.
Yeah.
Issue number 1. It was part 1 of a 3-part series, but it turns out he has more involvement now. He's going to be doing some other series.
Is he going to do a Goon book? Because that feels like something.
Not in
okay.
His
no.
interest is to eventually turn this into like film or anything. Is that like kind of like when you get somebody like him?
That's definitely that's definitely in the works.
Cool.
Yeah.
'Cause that guy's got his fingers in everything, man.
Mhm.
So he's back on. Not back on. He's on Letterkenny now. Like,
Yeah.
So he's like, I
That's
think he sees as
just
soon
on
as he
notes.
sees things are like interesting and cool, he wants
He goes
to put his
for it.
finger- Yeah, which is great because I think we need more people like celebrating Canadian, like good Canadian content.
Yeah, and he's a big comic book fan too, and for Chapterhouse to be the only superhero publisher that's Canadian.
Yeah.
Like of course you would want to ride that, especially when he's so patriotic as well.
Yeah, he has a huge dedication to like artists in Canada. I think artists and performers in Canada, which is like not, which is so
doesn't
counter
always
to.
happen.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
of them like when you would get to the level of success that Jay Baruchel had, we would just move to the States, right?
Yeah.
But he continues to make like really great Canadian films. Continues to make like work on really cool Canadian projects.
On that, like Rogan's doing comic book stuff too, because he's doing the Preacher TV show.
Who?
Seth Rogen.
Oh, Seth. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, I
But
guess-
at least like Baruchel keeping it all
In
Canadian.
Canada, yeah. Does he just live in Toronto now?
He does,
I
yeah.
always thought he was a Montreal guy, so I guess he just moved over.
I mean, well, he has family in Montreal, so yeah.
Probably depends where he's shooting and stuff too.
Cool. So how did that feel for you when Chapterhouse approached you? Was it like, yes, this is gonna happen, or
Yes, I don't know if I'm allowed to share this because,
no problem.
well, I think it was all in the past. Like there was a story before he officially joined on, and I remember like I was at Fatty's house as we were putting together the collected volume of Pitiful Human-Lizard, Volume 1, and at that time he was already planning an animated. He was planning this second season of Captain Canuck the animated series.
Oh wait. So sorry, I meant for you joining Chapterhouse, but it happened at the same time as Jay coming on board as well.
Well, I'm gonna lead into that.
Okay, cool. Sorry. Yeah.
I need to put some background to this
Yeah, no, I
because
thought I asked my question wrong. That's okay.
because I'm gonna get to the point because Fatty was like, hey, we're thinking of having Human-Lizard in the animated short of Captain Canuck.
Oh my God.
Who would you want to voice as Human-Lizard? And I gave him 2 names, and I gave him like one name, and then I gave him Jay Baruchel. And then he's like, okay, you know what? And in the end of the week, I'm gonna try to get something done, and then let you know. And then within a few days, Fatty told me this text message that he had, and Jay's enthusiasm of wanting to be part of it. And he was like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm down.
That's awesome.
And
So surprising that he swore. That's
yeah, and yeah, I've heard like that reaction so many times, I think from there, that's when Fatty and Jay kind of brewed a partnership with Chapterhouse.
Cool.
And but I would only like hear it like secondhand from Fatty or like a person that was working with Jay that. So like Jay said, like I mean, like he digs your comics. Like, cool. Like when can I meet him? Like I want to meet him. And then, but finally like hanging out with them and like, he's a sweet like, awesome friendly dude. Very unassuming too. Just especially for like a guy in his position.
like crushing it. Generally awesome and funny in his movies and stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Great.
So like the comics community feels like a close-knit family. Like you're all going to cons together. Is there a lot of hanging out and just networking and stuff like that going on?
Yeah, well, you know, like there's a lot of there is definitely a lot of comic talent in Toronto.
Yeah.
Compared to others.
Is that pretty recent? It seems
No,
like
it's
exploding.
been like that for like ever since I've started in college, at least.
Okay.
But then again, like it might have like gone all the way since like when Mark Asquith, who's like the producer of Space, the founder of Space, like when he was like the owner of Silver Snail, and he would just bring all sorts of talents, and that kind of like inspired today's talent now.
Like this current generation of
even like the
creators
past generations of
coming back.
the people before us.
Yeah.
But there's a good amount of talent that are doing stuff for Marvel and DC that happen to live in Toronto. Or just around here, just a GTA.
You're just like
Jeff
wondering
Lemire.
if there's like a zone where all the comic artists hang out.
Kinda,
like,
yeah. It's
Are
at
you
the
trying to
it's
like
at the
break
cafe.
into their part?
I mean, I got some pitches, but
Well, you know, like Toronto is like it's a great major city.
Yeah.
It's our New York.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it,
and our LA kind of at the same time. Like it's a super big creative part of the country.
and the great thing about being a creative in Toronto is we got healthcare. And that's the reason why it's great in Toronto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the reason so many people who do end up going down south end up coming back, I think. 'Cause
Yeah.
They can't. That's well, also legally they're not allowed to be there unless they have all the godforsaken, complicated paperwork you have to get to move over there in the first place.
Well, and Leonard Kirk, who was a Captain Canuck artist before I replaced him, and he's doing stuff for he's doing like Black Panther for Marvel right now. He was American, but he's now living in St. Catharines or Niagara right now. Yeah.
Future podcast guest that they bring up.
No.
When's the first time you saw Captain Canuck then? Because I
When
stumbled
was-
across the book.
When I discovered him,
Yeah.
uh,
Because that's a pretty big moment when you see somebody.
maybe when I was 12 or something. But
Yeah.
I don't think I saw the comic. I probably like saw a poster of it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like, oh, like he exists.
He's like charging out.
And of course, I made a mistake of going like he's part of Alpha Flight.
Ah, all right.
But then you later on, as you get older and learn the facts, like you hear the story of Captain Canuck came out first, and then Marvel thought that was a cool idea. They went to Richard Comley like, we want to buy the rights off you. Richard Comley was like, no, like he's a homegrown hero. He must stay in Canada. So Marvel took it upon himself to like just create a character named the Vindicator, and looks exactly, very like 95% like Captain Canuck.
I mean, it's kind of fair enough because, I mean, Marvel's got their own country-specific captain going on, so I can see
Yeah.
there's a lot of influences going both ways on that one.
Yeah.
Some funding.
Different origin stories, though.
Yeah, very different. Well, like, Captain Canuck's had a couple different origins as well. Like, he's...
There were a number. Well, okay. Tom Evans. There's classic Tom Evans, who was like a Boy Scout, and then there was like some vigilante character in the 90s when they brought him back as new Captain Canuck. But then the current series, it's a contemporary look of Tom Evans.
Yeah, you're right. As soon as you did it, sorry, yeah.
And Kalman Andrzejowski is the one that redesigned the current Captain Canuck, and that's the one that we're using in our world right now.
Cool.
I have a friend who did her like research, like her PhD, I think, on if it wasn't Captain Canuck, it was like Canadian. It must have been Captain Canuck, because I remember it was it's funny to see the trickle down, because not only is it important like culturally for just the art itself to have like really cool Canadian superheroes, but also like people are doing research projects, like it's good for academia as well. It's working all the way down.
Especially like there's so much work on Canadian identity and representation.
My comic was was studied. Well, it was part of the syllabus in U of T, and
Nice.
Oh, cool.
their Canadian comics, or no, just a graphic novel course.
Oh my god, you have to have the lizard walking by that course one day going,
I actually, they actually like paid me to do lectures in university,
Cool.
like, which is weird because I've never fantasized about going to like U of T, but I knew a lot of people that went there and was like, this is awesome that I'm actually speaking to like all these students and they're actually like taking notes of everything I'm saying about the human lizard. Also New York University too, that was another thing.
I mean, they'll work on the TV show, the Netflix Human Lizard
Well,
project.
we'll see.
A lot of TV, like film production and stuff in Europe.
That makes sense.
Oh no, that was for their Canadian comic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you probably
studies,
fit like
yeah.
like there's Canadian studies and Canadian like literature and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where, all your stories going into that. That's so cool. Look, I've got to ask this big question because I know Nick doesn't like asking it.
Okay.
What?
The podcast is called The Constant Struggle, right?
Oh,
So, but so far, like a lot of what we're talking about has been like
How
everything.
awesome is everything?
Everything is coming up Millhouse.
Yeah.
Did you encounter anything along the way that you would consider to be like?
The co-creation's a struggle of the human lizard. Actually, like my working habits producing my comic, because I normally start like in October,
Yeah.
or like start writing the scripts like September, then and then like do this hibernation break through winter, just being isolated in my apartment, just drawing all the pages out for the year to come, and so that way when it's all done, it's already May or June, and I can just take the summer off to just bum around, but it's that winter season where it's cold, lonely, isolated, just listening to podcasts and just being accompanied by self-doubt.
Oh no!
and
It's amazing that you still
fears
have
and-
it, considering things are still going things
Oh.
are going so well with it too.
Well, and the thing is, like, sometimes it's like there'll be like 2 weeks of quietness, right? Like there's no buzz, and sometimes it might be something like where like one of my books was delayed or something. So it's like, oh great, like there's nothing for my fans to be talking about because it's like the last book that came out was like 5 months ago, and it's like I feel irrelevant or like this. I feel like I'm trying to fight for my existence by trying to like post some new stuff to let people know I'm still active in the game.
Yeah, so you're very closely attached to your fans that on social media and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah. Well, you gotta let them know that like new stuff is on the way.
Yeah, I promise you it's coming.
Yeah. Don't give up on it. Yeah.
today, I don't know if I saw it properly. Are you writing some of the Captain Canuck as well?
Not writing. I just finished drawing.
Okay.
Issues 3 and 4, like just like as a layout artist, and then Manuel Chateauneuf will take my layout art and like just puts in all the details, makes it all like beautiful, stunning, and
Okay, because
crisp.
I was gonna like I would say your book definitely has your style in it. I was wondering, do you change styles when you work on Captain Canuck?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
I tried to, like, I was studying Leonard Turk stuff, and Leonard Turk, he's been in the superhero game for a long time. Like, he's been working for Marvel and DC, like doing Supergirl and all that stuff. So he's had years of experience before he went back to working on Captain Canuck. And I was like, just studying the collected volumes, and especially like his latest issues of Captain Canuck, so I can try to make sure like
Keep the flow.
measure up to that standard, especially with the dynamic shots and stuff. And
Okay.
like the first draft I did of issue number 3, like I had to redo half of the pages, but I learned a lot to the point where like by the second issue that I was working on Captain Canuck, like I've got most of it down pat. And I think it made me a better artist for my own series. So when
because you're stretching yourself.
exactly,
It's like sitcom writers have to be able to write the voice of a different like show or a different project. Drawing.
It's like you know when like I guess a good analogy is like when you're so used to like shooting it like the like Master of None,
right?
But then like someone hires you to go, okay, we want you to do like this Michael Bay or Steven Spielberg huge picture, like blockbuster
like,
action film.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
First, I'm gonna need more money.
Yeah. Which, like they do pay more money compared to my Pitiful Human-Lizard series.
Like your character, do you have a day job as well, or are you able to fully focus on the work?
And that's one of the constant struggles is the balance between time management of my comic work and working full time at a library.
Oh, you work full time at a library too.
Working with kids that drain your energy.
It's true.
Every day.
Yeah.
But you could lay the groundwork for future comic book consumers.
Yeah.
Kids, have you read this?
Yeah. But like I've worked at that library for over 20 years, and I've gotten to the point where I'm acting, behaving like a veteran.
Yeah.
Like I'm getting too old for this. So.
You're Danny Glovering every day.
Yeah.
That's still remarkable though, because it's so quintessentially Canadian artist too, though, right? Like that you still have to work the day job when you're
And
working.
it's pretty on brand for this show.
It is very on brand for this show.
Because I had a point that like we should have the Pitiful Human-Lizard on our show. If you substitute creativity with punching evil in the ball sack, he would fit right in the show.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe if you DM him on Twitter, you should probably ask him for an interview.
Cool. That would be awesome. One of the things I absolutely loved is the first office shot, and you got like the Cisco Systems phone perfectly, and like black with the gray. Of like, yes. Awesome. I imagine quite a few artists have drawn that phone while they're sitting in their cubicle at work.
yeah, that's one of the great benefits of working in an office setting. And from my day job is like I get some inspiration from that for the comic.
I love his interaction with his coworkers and how they. I don't know if I should spoil it, but never mind.
No, go for it.
All right, they know he's the lizard.
Yeah, I mean, but you find that out after the first issue.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point.
Like I'm already like 17 issues in.
I'm so behind.
Yeah.
Okay, crap. The con travel that you do is it mainly just in the region, or are you having to go to like Vancouver and stuff like that? Oh, you were in Winnipeg.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much.
I thought that was cool because my wife was in Winnipeg the week before. She went for a conference on homelessness.
Oh.
Because she's working on that with the province right now. And then I saw you were there. I was like, everything's coming up Winnipeg right now.
Yeah. Well, this year was the year where I was like going out of the city more.
Okay.
Like I was at the start of 2017. I went to like Sarnia and Windsor.
Like Niagara.
No, I didn't have Niagara before. I've done Hamilton, but I'm not really great at those shows.
Oh, okay.
But I went to Montreal, and then I went to Saskatoon and Winnipeg. Like I'll go to any convention that invites me as a guest and pays for my flight.
Yeah, all right.
Travels.
Do they put you up? Like it's not you're not out of pocket for going.
No.
Oh, that's awesome. So you get like a free trip, and you're selling your books when you're out there as well.
Thanks to Jay.
Oh, okay.
Well, no,
awesome.
he doesn't pay for it, but because he's a guest at the some of the shows that I go to, it's I kind of like ride those coatails in a way.
Well, you're
why not?
part of the company.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
Because Chapterhouse had a really nice setup at the Mississauga Con. You got all your art set up. You had a really decent artist panel, right? Artist Alley, Writers Row, whatever it's called. And that was pretty cool. Like everybody was all waiting for Jay, and then for real comic book fans, you could just strike all the people who actually get it and talk to everyone.
Yeah.
So I talked to you and Andrew as well, the guy who's doing some of the covers for
Andrew Thomas.
Yeah,
who's Mississauga, a Mississauga resident.
Yeah.
I'm taking a couple steps back, and you're talking about your process in you're like in the winter time, in the cold winter months when you
Yes.
sort of lock. What does that look like? Like how often in the day? Because like we've tried to break down like Nick, who's writing a novel right now. Like what does his process look like? Given that he's got to go to work and that kind of stuff, and he's got to make sure his children survive and that kind of stuff. What is like? Is it a regular daily schedule that you have to like tick off?
An average day would usually be work 9 to 5 at the library, come home after like my commute from Mississauga to Toronto.
Right.
I make dinner. Then at 7 o'clock, I start drawing comics until midnight.
Cool.
If I get to sleep in the next day, because if I'm working an evening shift the next day,
Yeah.
I'll be up until like 2 a.m. or
Right.
sometimes 3 a.m. depending on how I feel
flow's coming,
and
yeah.
if I need to really catch up on my daily quota, I would push it to the limit.
Is it like a panel count or a page count that you work?
Page count
Yeah.
usually. I would try to do like 4 or 5 pages a day.
Cool. And the story's already written at this point.
Oh,
Yeah.
right,
Like
you've got the
drawing,
script.
yeah.
Exactly. Like I usually do the writing process during the summertime.
Right.
Usually, especially when I'm more relaxed, I'll be out at a patio just with my notebook and just writing ideas down.
Right.
Yeah.
What do your scripts look like? Do they look like a film script, or are you doing like little thumbnails on the side? Or?
Yeah. So because I do stuff on my own.
Yeah.
I just do handwritten notes in my sketchbook because I'm usually
You're not
the only.
typing it for yourself.
Yeah, like I'm the only one that'll be reading my writing, anyways. Sometimes I'll pass it on to my editor, Alison O'Toole, and she'll just give me a general idea of like if I'm in the right direction or not, and then after that I'll take that. Then I would do the thumbnail layouts. And then from the thumbnail layouts, I work big by penciling on the big size 11 by 17 pages, and then I ink from there.
Cool.
Yeah,
So it's all done by like hand drawn, or is it like electronic now?
hand drawn.
That's You're all
Very
hand-drawn?
traditional.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
All right.
but the coloring is all digital,
Okay.
and the wording. I mean the lettering.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Interesting.
That's so cool. That's like classic art. You know?
I should have brought some books so you could have seen it while we were doing this.
Well, now I'm gonna go home and read them all.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when you drop me off, I'll show you them.
Yeah, perfect.
I was gonna go like super annoying and go like, who were your influences and stuff like that
Yeah.
for your characters, but I just wanted to share that I felt like the way you're doing your characters feels to me like Greg Capullo on Batman.
Oh wow.
It's like I want to say it's like wholesome looking, but not in a cheesy way. In a
Okay.
nice, it's like a warm flannel shirt that I'm currently wearing version of drawing. It's just super comfortable. The message is coming across really easily. You know what's happening in the picture, and you also provide little fun details.
Yeah.
Like your like the little Hulk statue toy is moving around. I was gonna say
his
Jason's
cubicle.
desk.
Lucas's desk.
Lucas's desk.
Yeah, I never thought about Greg Capullo.
Oh,
Because I rarely I haven't read like DC comics for a long while, but one of my influences is Daniel Klaus of Ghost World, and but he's done a series called 8 Ball, and
I actually read Ghost World.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
and Ghost World, it was like one of those short stories that came out of his series called 8 Ball, which is this an anthology by him of just ordinary people.
Yeah.
And I was inspired by that, as well as Adrian Taubenet, who's also in that same kind of genre of, and he did a series called Optic Nerve, of just mundane people, and just making them extraordinary by just...
Is that like Harvey Pieper? Like that's
Sort of, yeah. And what I liked about them, and I discovered them when I was in college, was that they were able to capture dialogue like very naturally.
Yeah. Also, you kind of get the best of both worlds. You've got like the everyday, just people living in Toronto, and he's a superhero at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a fun playground to be playing in.
definitely. And like just I think like their inspirations have helped kept the series grounded because I want to make these characters feel down to earth.
Yeah, I mean that's the huge value of the book. Like there's so many superhero books and stuff like that, and what stands out is the artist's voice. But I mean, every artist has voices too. But you're giving Toronto specifically a representation in the medium and stuff.
Yeah.
And people see themselves in the books.
And when you pick up my book, it's definitely gonna be different, very offbeat compared to like any other superhero
Funny.
story.
It is like literally laugh out loud at times as well.
Yeah, like I get to like in like issue number 2, like he goes on an online date with someone. Issue number 7, he gets lost in the suburbs of Mississauga, and he tries to find his way back late night back in Toronto.
That you need to be a superhero to do that.
Yeah, but you know he doesn't have a Batmobile to get back, so he has to like hitchhike along the way or just jog late at night because he doesn't have enough money for a taxi or anything.
It's
doesn't
an expensive fare to
Yeah.
Mississauga,
All right.
for sure.
So when you saw the latest Spider-Man movie,
Did
you kind of feel like they ripped you off when you went to the burbs?
Well,
No, that must be everyone wonders how a superhero would cope in the burbs.
well,
Especially Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's been around for a long while, and I'm sure like they've touched on some of those aspects. But the thing was, before that Spider-Man, before like Tom Holland became Spider-Man, like especially when you look at the comics of Spider-Man, like people forgot that that's where Spider-Man came from. Like he became such a mature character. Like he's this Peter Parker became this businessman, kind of like this Tony Stark character who had his own corporation and stuff. He went through so many drastic, tragic events that altered him and matured him. But yeah, they forgot about his humble upbringings to the point where like, well, I'm going to do my own fresh take of a working class superhero.
Yeah.
And he's not going to reach that point ever.
He's not
Canadian, and we don't.
Yeah. And, but yeah, there were certain, like, scenes where it's like, man, like, if I didn't see that movie, like, within the next 5 issues, I would have, like, done almost a similar scene of, like, him catching a bike thief. Because there's so many people that ride bikes in Toronto. It's like, I would have, like, that could have been something that happened in Human-Lizard if
Wow, so it's very zeitgeisty then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We're on the same page. A lot of the stuff you're talking about, I'm reverting it back to my world of improv, because I feel like a lot of like taking like realistic characters and making them fantastic and setting them in like real places. That's kind of like what we try to do in improv. But I don't know if that's like where we're going artistically right now, as if it's like a representation of the every person, as opposed to just making everything fantastic and glorious and. I
think there's like a nice good balance of everything these days, especially now that we have like there's a lot of independent comic creators that don't need to depend on Marvel or DC or Image to get their books published.
Right.
Like they sometimes, you know, thankfully we have Kickstarter to create our own stories.
And the digital world too. Like
but the whole point is like we get to speak our own voices.
Yeah.
From so many people with different backgrounds. So yeah.
It sort of makes sense naturally that's how it
that's
would
a
evolve.
trend right now. Yeah.
I think something that you might not be aware of, Brie, but that the comedy world enjoys with at least Jason's work is baseball's kind of a big passion of yours, I'm guessing. Characters like Gruber and Steve.
But also like the characters, mainly like more like I think the characters are more into baseball than I am.
Oh, okay. I just assumed.
Yeah.
All right. See, I'm the one who's like everything in your writer's work. I assume is from yourself.
Somewhat. Like I am a Jays fan, like casual Jays fan.
Okay.
But in the comic, like I want Lucas to have his own hobbies as well as Kenneth.
You nailed the timing as well, because the Jays just started getting better around that time.
Yeah.
And there was such a nerd / hipster draw to it. Like people of our age.
Yeah.
Just the way like baseball stats were getting big, like it became a huge thing in the city of Toronto. And I was like, yeah, you nailed it.
Well, you know, like when the Jays are winning more games, of course you want to be more excited to like attend a game.
Yeah.
It's a lot more fun that way.
It's a lot more fun that way.
I know it doesn't matter with the Leafs. Either way,
no,
people
they're
are
always
gonna go.
full.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. Well, because baseball's not that exciting of a sport,
Yeah, it's
especially
not
when your team is losing.
Yeah.
Compared
Oh my
to,
god, yeah,
Yeah.
it's so much worse.
because there's 9 innings.
Yeah, hockey's still exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably more so because you're like, any second this could change
Yeah.
completely. Not like, well, maybe in 3 innings.
Like
yeah,
there was like the late '90s when we were going like through a harsh streak with the Jays, and like I remember Pat Tabler was part of that. Carlos Delgado was part of that.
Yeah.
But it was like I remember like watching games with my uncle. Like because he would get some free tickets, and so I'd go watch a game with him. And I would just be bored for like,
Oh, man.
because like the 5th or 6th innings, like I'm just gonna like hang around the vending machines and like
All right.
get some baseball cards that have like some more successful players.
Yeah.
I think smartphones are saving baseball too. Like, because if the game is garbage, you're still in the seats.
Yeah,
You could just
that's
like
true.
be on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
Twitter,
Do
where you're,
Instagram,
Like,
yeah.
And Instagram
yeah,
stories
that's
or
right,
whatever.
working on panos. the
Yeah,
entire time.
exactly.
Like, why don't you watch the game? I'm doing something.
I'm just hoping for like Chapterhouse to get so big that you guys could do a cross promotion with the Jays, because I like the way you've been drawing their uniforms and stuff.
Oh, thanks.
You've always been a big nerd for that.
I'm a big uniform nerd guy. I don't know
Yeah.
where that came from, but it's true.
true,
Yeah,
yeah.
I should own that.
Yeah, I've been drawing the vintage baby blue
Yeah,
jerseys
a lot of
pretty
that.
often. Yeah.
It's been cool.
The stuff that George Bell would wear or Kelly
Nice.
River.
Yeah. And you did a good job as drawing Skydome. Sometimes when stadiums
Oh,
show up
thanks.
in comic books, I'm like, oh, that's not realistic.
He's also
It's
a
just-
stadium nerd.
yeah, I was big in architecture.
It's definitely
It's
the blue.
because, well, there's that, and like
The blue
Skydome
seats
got
and-
built when I was
Kid?
like the perfect age for it. Like I found it fascinating. Like it's a huge, amazing stadium where the roof moves and everything. It's nuts. So it scarred me for life, apparently.
I'm not gonna say start. I'm just saying it makes sense as to why that's the kind of thing you would bring up.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Could there be a cover shot with the lizard on top of the, the statues of the fans at Rogers
Oh,
Center?
right, yeah.
Like the Batman-esque, like watching his city below.
I mean, things have to come naturally. Like, I get so many people asking me, like, hey, is he ever gonna visit like Oshawa? Is he gonna visit Scarborough? And like
Scarborough could definitely happen naturally. Like,
But I mean, like, it depends on the story that I have in mind, and
Right.
if it makes geographical sense and all.
Do you get a lot of fan art?
Yeah, I get fan art, and yeah, I post that on my Facebook page.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you get that? Are you kind of like, oh, this is cute? Or
Yeah, it's cool. No, it is flattering because like you got to think that like these fans have put time into it, and to draw out this character, whether they spent like an hour or 30 minutes on it, it's like that's amazing
Yeah.
that they've thought that much about my character.
Ooh, have you seen any fan fiction of it yet?
And I didn't look into that.
That'll be interesting.
I'm not on Reddit, so
that's where it would happen, I guess. Yeah.
yeah.
I had an idea for a
Not
supervillain.
sure. Okay.
Oh, jeez.
His main power is the regeneration, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And appropriate for the character.
Okay.
And he's got the sticky thing, right?
Yeah.
Someone
Sticky
with
gloves and boots.
Yeah. Get him in a cage covered in Teflon where the stickiness won't work.
Right.
He's gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
At the name of the
That could be
at
your
the name
fan art.
At the name of the character lined up. It's a girl
no.
supervillain.
Okay.
Teflon Dawn.
Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
Sorry, I just thought of that other way over.
What do you do when fans have a...
Stupid ideas, pitch night. Thank you for that, Bree.
I'll just listen and be like, until they're finished. All right, good.
Great, nice to meet you.
Cool.
Awesome.
Oh, that's fun.
I'm going to Reddit as soon as I can.
I get a lot of those at conventions, especially
Yeah.
from people who are like, like I'll pitch my comic trying to sell it, especially like early on before when it was Chapterhouse, and like that's when I was busy hustling, so I'll see my pitch, and then it'll be like, oh, you know what would make this cooler, and it would give me this idea, and it's like, but that's already done before. Like, what you want is Deadpool, and there's plenty of Deadpool comics. Buy that. If you want some different, get my book.
Yeah, what's unique is that it's coming out of you as well, too. Right?
Exactly.
Like, you can't allow yourself to be too motivated by other people's like desires and stuff, because then it stops being your thing.
I've had a person who's interacted with me like 3 times, and he was like, when is he gonna come to Scarborough? And it's like, well, I don't have plans for it yet. It's like, well, when he does, that's when I'm gonna buy your book. It's like, wow, all right, that's your selling point.
Oh my goodness! Now he's definitely not going to come to Scarborough.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound very inviting.
I'm gonna do that out of spite, really.
Scarborough's the place where all his powers disappear for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like his Phantom Zone.
That sounds like a troll.
Yeah.
When can people expect the next one coming out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So issue number 16. Issue number 16, which is the first issue he goes out into space.
Ooh.
That comes out on Wednesday.
Oh man, that's so soon.
This Wednesday, and also on that same week, I also did this a backup 16-page story for Kill Shakespeare by IDW.
Oh yeah.
That's my first IDW gig, which is great.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was a huge Canadian book.
By Connor McCurry and Anthony Del Cole. I did this. I illustrated this backup story that Keith Morris, who's also the publisher for Chapterhouse, he wrote a story, and I got to design some new characters into that series. Cool. Which is awesome. Like that, that's what I like to do if I'm ever to jump into a new series. Is try to leave my fingerprints in there, and not be another spoke in a wheel of if I want to do a Marvel story, I don't want to be another person that did a story on Spider-Man or Deadpool. I want to use an underutilized character, or give me a chance to make a new character that springs off of an established character.
That sounds like fun.
I got some ideas.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool. Well, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, Jason. This is so much fun.
It was really cool, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll
Thanks for
post
having me.
as many links and stuff as we can get to. Your own personal website,
Sure.
your social media links and that kind of stuff. We'll
Yeah.
get people to follow the
Facebook.com
Human-Lizard. Cool.
/ Pitiful Human-Lizard.
Fantastic. We'll send people over there, and we'll be posting about the episode for the next little while.
Sweet.
But thanks so much for doing it. It was so nice to talk to you.
Thanks for having me as a guest.
Thanks, man.
Yay.
So there you go, episode 43. Jason was a super nice dude.
Yeah, I learned so much about comics.
Oh yeah, you did, Brie.
Yeah, what, are you saying you knew it all already?
No, okay, I learned a lot, but you learned way more
Yeah, 'cause
because
I
I was
knew-
further in my comics journey.
Yeah, I knew nothing. Now I've learned so much more, and I'm gonna go out and buy every single
all
of
the
the
comics.
comics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Okay, so build time into your schedule.
Oh goodness.
Okay.
Listen, if you liked this episode of the Constant Struggle podcast, and you want to listen to more episodes, you can go to our website at theconstantstrugglepodcast.com. Podbean.com.
Or if you've got the old Apple app to download podcasts,
Yeah, iTunes. Just go to iTunes.
There you go. You can find it there.
And
messenger pigeons.
We'll drop them off right at your doorstep.
Yep. And don't forget to tip your pigeon.
That's right. If you'd like to engage with us on social media about the episode or just in general, we're on Facebook, the Constant Struggle Podcast. We're on Twitter at StrugglePod. And I think that's it.
Yeah, I don't think we have an Instagram.
No. Because we're not, it does, what are you gonna look at?
I don't know if this podcast works with filters.
It would just be various pictures of the microphone.
I mean, it is a nice mic.
It is a pretty good mic.
All right.
Thanks so much for listening.
Struggle on.
And I would not give